zooming out into the monthly time frame to maintain perspective. Right? As we can see, the monthly this month has not done much, right? We've gone up a little bit, we've gone down a little bit, and we've pretty much come right back to this 70 area, this 68, 75 area has kind of been the ticket lately, where we just seem to be trading back and forth around, right? Get a little bit higher, we get some liquidation. Yesterday we saw kind of a peak below into the downside, come right back into that spot. Um, so as of right now, one thing that we do want to remember is that we are one time framing higher on a monthly chart, right? It is marginally, and we've traded back inside the previous month's range, but we do have higher highs and higher lows consecutive for the 3 months in a row. And that just lets you know that there's been some change in the market. Overall, in a kind of a bigger term picture, we're still sitting here in this balance. So that's still something to pay attention to. But should we get back above that previous month's high, definitely want to be careful if you are looking short, or if you're kind of shorting the top of this balance, you want to be cautious. Now, switching over to the weekly, you can see we are still inside the previous week's range. There is some opportunity here, right? We're still one time from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months in a row so far. We haven't taken the low of the previous week, so we can still consider that one time framing. If we do take the low of that previous week, we kind of expect this 35 to be the first test of liquidity, and we'll see from there if buyers are going to be willing to step up in here and kind of turn this into a three balance area. We do only have 2 days left. News today, we had the unemployment claims. That's what's kind of causing this move up, or that's basically when the move started, about 8:30. And then we've got some final wholesale inventories, natural gas, and then consumer credit, which are typically not big market moving, but still something to pay attention. Now, with the weekly, the first key sign of weakness in this market would be a break of this low. It does seem kind of like every time we get down here this week, we typically tend to run out of supply and buyers step up and take the market higher. So as you can see, we're trading at about 69.70 right now. The open from this week is 66, so we're back above this week's open. We had a +4 last week, and so you want to be paying attention to that +4 as on a weekly basis. If we remain below that settle, it indicates a bit of weakness. Switching over to the daily here, we had an outside day where we took the high early. We're actually opened above the previous day and then traded back through it all the way down to the low, finishing on a spike and still remaining in this larger balance, right? We're still stuck in this balance. Now we have this balance down here, kind of a bad square there, but we have these overlapping balances, or balances that are very close to each other with a big gap down below. So one thing we want to be paying attention to is if this spike down to the low of balance cannot get continuation, well, the odds are that we trade back to the mean, which is at 68. So we've already done that in the overnight session. So we want to be kind of cognizant, and we'll get into it on the profiles a little bit, that halfway point. If we get above that, we kind of expect the test of this high of balance. And the high of balance has kind of been getting marginally higher, right? We were calling that high of balance like 85, and now it's kind of closer to 95. So we'll switch over here to the profiles to get a little bit better view of that. Just real quick. So here's the profiles. And the white lines are just, lines that I've marked as far as kind of distributions, and levels of kind of control, right? They worked out pretty okay for me. You could use zones, you can use whatever you want. See what the settle was here from last night. 56. 45.56. Even. So you can see we've got overnight inventory pretty mixed. A lot of the volume here is below the settle, but we've since kind of traded that. So we're not really looking for a huge correction to overnight inventory. We can kind of assume that that news stopped them all out. Anyone that was shorting in the overnight session has probably been stopped out. The key thing that that we want to be paying attention to is still this distribution and still our weak spot up here near. Now today, if sellers are going to try to continue, and remember we have spike rules leading into today, and if you're not sure what spike rules are, you're going to have to look them up or look in the Discord. They're all, but if we are able to stay above this 70-68 level, I'm looking at 68.75 and 67.50. That's kind of the key zone for me. But failure to find supply or sellers below that level kind of indicates that we will test up here towards that 80-82 level. That's kind of what I'll be looking for. We are opening up inside, most likely inside. We still got a little bit of time, but inside the previous day's value. So the play is we'll wait or monitor for a break of either side of the previous day's value. Typically, when we have that outsized range, right, I like to take the TPO and I like to switch it down from 68 to 50 just to narrow down my value area a little, right? Just to make it a little bit easier to follow just because we had an outsized day, right? We got 27, 26, big 45 here, then 34, 41, 28, right? So you had a couple outsized days in a row, then we went back to being kind of a normal 20, 30 point range. Yesterday we had the outsized range, so I typically tend to for that 50% when things like this happen. And right, just a reminder, play number 1 is open outside value. It looks like we're going to be opening inside value. So play number 2 would be a break of the low of value to get short, and we kind of have our zone. Break of the high of value, and we look to get long, and we're probably off of that 75 to trade above the 82. That's where we have these single prints from yesterday, and also kind of been the weak spot and the separation that, and that's why I was saying the high balance has been about 85-90. Acceptance above that 90, and really I'm looking for 93. Acceptance above that 93, that's where I think we start to get real bullish, and 46.14.75 is typically my target from and so that is pretty much the plan yesterday. If you were to go back and watch yesterday's video, pretty much exactly what we talked about worked out great. We had talked about failure to get acceptance above that 93.88 level probably will cause liquidation, and then below 82 probably causes to trade back to the 68 level. Now, being 100% transparent, I got, I don't know what it was yesterday, to be honest with you. I was just very distracted, didn't trade well, finished down about 500 bucks because I wasn't following the plan, wasn't taking my mental cues, and really just made some mistakes. So the reason I share that is because I want you to know, right? I'm not just sitting here cashing in every single day. It does happen where you struggle, and part of that's my own fault. I was distracted and kept trading, but nice bounce back day today. I'm long from the 55 right now, so pretty decent start to the morning. But other than that, hopefully we have a wonderful day. Make sure that you're managing risk and sticking to your trade plan. And yeah, let's get this started.